Well, technically, he's not a fugitive because there is no warrant of arrest.
Right.
But if you are ordered to appear before the Senate, the police will still take you in, will still get
Right.
hold of you to enforce that order, no? So it's a technicality lang. But you will still be brought physically to the Senate even against your will. So parang arrest na rin yun. And you will be detained in the Senate, no? Until the Senate hearing is over. So ano lang, technicality lang yun. I mean, pero ang effect is pareho. Dudukutin siya.
So is Sir Ronald,
Yeah.
ano magsalita?
Napanood ko kasi Justice yung kanyang Facebook post na medyo mahaba, no? Marami siyang squid tactics na naman na kinagamit doon. Pero yung isa niyang binanggit ay hindi pwedeng hingiin sa kanya ng Congress yung mga papeles niya, SALN, bank accounts, etc., which may incriminate him. Yun ang sinasabi niya, no? Siyempre, yung mga walang alam sa ganun ay hindi alam kung sinasabi ba niya ay totoo o hindi, no? Pero basically, kine-question niya yung role ng Congress para hingiin yung mga documents na yun na naging basis ng kanyang contempt at naging basis ng kanyang pagtago at naging basis ng pagbuo ng PNP at saka NBI ng team para siya ay hulihin, no? So dikit-dikit yung kanyang kaya ang ginawa niya daw ay nagsampa siya ng kaso sa Supreme Court para sabihan
Dami niyang
meron siyang ini-invoke na mga jurisprudence, yung kay Lopa, yung panahon ni Cory, na nag-decision daw yung Supreme Court tungkol dun sa limits ng contempt or powers ng Congress. Very limited naman ang alam ko dyan dahil hindi naman ako lawyer. Justice, pero,
Ronald, parang kung hindi siya nandito, very confident ka. Ngayon, na may justice. Ayaw biglang, ay, hindi ako expert. Wala akong sinasabi.
Unlike to dati, no?
Pag tayo medyo confident ka sa legal analysis.
Pero alam ko, Justice, very expansive ang role ng Congress, yung kanyang legislative inquiry powers. Supreme Court lang ang pwedeng magdikta kung ano ba yung limits niya.
Yeah.
Pero parang si Harry Roque, siya yung nagsasabi kung ano yung limits.
Well, ang basic basic decision ng Supreme Court, you have to appear before the Senate, before the committee, before whether House or the Senate, and you cannot invoke self-incrimination until the question is asked, and the answer will call for incriminating.
Doon mo pwedeng invoke.
Yeah.
Oh.
You can invoke it only because speculative baka hindi tanungin yung question na yun So you have really to appear. So you cannot hide. Yun ang mali ni no? You have to appear, and it's when the question is asked which incriminates you, that's when you say I will not answer.
My right to self-incrimination.
Ngayon wala pa siyang ma-invoke Second, yung sabi niya na he will not submit his SALN. Well, he already committed to submit his SALN. No? He promised that. Now, if he does not submit, the Senate can, or the House can always subpoena it from the Ombudsman, kasi everybody files with the Ombudsman.
Yes.
No? And that's exactly what happened in the impeachment of CJ Rene Corona at the time.
Yes.
Makukuha yun if the House or House Committee will subpoena it. Ibibigay yun. No?
Ano yung sinasabi niya na sinampa niya sa Supreme Court? Na kaso para siya ay hindi para sabihin na walang right yung Congress na siya ay i-contempt or ipahanap. Ano yun? Hindi ko masyadong maunawaan yung
Well, I haven't read the petition, but as I said, basic na you have to appear, and only when the incriminating question is asked can you say, I will not answer. Kasi,
But you cannot say it's incriminating to begin with some category. Diba? Parang ganun yung
yeah,
ginawa niya.
ang problema yan, pag sinabi mo incriminating, baka there's something to
Incriminate
the
you ba?
question. Yun ang problema noon. Kaya katulad na sinabi mo na ayaw niya i-submit yung SALN niya.
At saka bank documents, etc. No?
Ito, tanong ko, Justice. Kasi ang nilalabas niya sa media, ang kanyang reklamo, hinaing ni Tatay Harry, ay masyado na daw naaapektuhan yung kanyang pamilya. Okay? At yung kanyang marriage is being affected. Dahil dito sa mga
Medyo
tanong
nag-jump ka
sa mga
discussion.
hindi kay Harry Roque pa rin sa mga inquiry sa kanya, 'di ba? Na naapektuhan daw yung marriage. Ang tanong ko, normal ba yung meron kang joint account doon sa doon sa assistant mo? Hindi kaya yun yung dahilan kung bakit
Mr. Supranational.
Oo. Normal ba yung gano'n na parang nag-joint account?
Tapos pwede ka mag-withdraw anytime, di ba?
Oo.
Yun pa, di ba? Oo.
Yung isa kasing sinabi niya doon sa kanyang
Conjugals.
Facebook na yung hinihingi sa kanya are not relevant to the inquiry. Ang limited na alam ko, hindi naman ikaw as a resource person na magpapasya kung ano yung relevant sa inquiry eh. Di ba, magpapasya niyan yung committee eh.
Nagpa-prejudge
Oo,
siya. Yun
di ba?
ang sinasabi ko eh, categorical.
Kaya sabi ko, parang mali yung sinasabi niya.
Well, kasi his connection to the Pogos is being established.
Yes.
He appeared as a lawyer. Sabi niya, hindi. Pero he accompanied Cathy Ong.
Cassandra.
Cassandra Ong.
So, tumawag siya several times.
Several
para
times.
i-follow up.
No? So, madaming circumstances that he appeared to be a lawyer. So, pwede nang tanungin yung ibang anything related to that. No? So, pwedeng tanungin na magkano binayad sa iyo or are you being paid a retainer? So,
ang sabi ni Congressman Luis Tro, kahit hindi siya binayaran, effectively, siya ay abogado.
yeah, because if you give advice as a lawyer, that's already lawyering.
Yes.
Kahit na hindi ka pa nabayaran. No?
Siguro
Or-
naman, kuha ka pa ng analyst. Gagamitin natin mamaya.
or kung yung bayad ay hindi official.
so in simplest terms, how deep in is Harry? I mean, gaano kalalim yung problema niya considering the preponderance of evidence and all of this political stuff. I mean, one of the things I noticed, Justice Carp, is no one is defending Harry, not even you, not DDS, no one is defending
Yung kasi namin tatay niya, magkamukha kasi niya.
Pero hindi siya nag-isa. So just how deep he is in the trenches, if I can put it that way.
Well, it's pretty serious because if you are ordered to appear as a resource person, if there's a subpoena, you have to appear. The only time you can say I will not answer is after the question is asked and it's really
Right.
incriminating. Ngayon, he just doesn't want to appear. Delikado yun.
May precedents ba tayo ng ganon?
Parang yung final niya TRO eh. Hindi ko alam kung anong klaseng TRO, yung sa Supreme Court.
Well,
Parang
the
ini-involve niya
president
yung-
is Kibuloy.
Yes, which is a perfect segue to our next discussion, Justice Carpio. Speaking of Kibola, of course, I've been always egging you on your fellow Navaeños. Ayan na, nahuli na, finally. Were you surprised by the level of restraint and professionalism, at least that's my read, of General Torre and the Philippine National Police? The fact that they made sure walang gulong mangyari. And I also want to ask you, Justice, last year lang ba na-discovering human rights at due process sa Davao? Yung yung Constitutional School of Torreon, Dean Torreon. Parang very concerned sila ngayon sa due process, tsaka human rights. What's the state of jurisprudential debate? Ano yung mga schools of thought dyan, Justice?
Well, it doesn't only, it's even former President Duterte is now
A human rights advocate.
He's now a
Yes.
human rights advocate and asking for due process,
Yes.
asking for fair hearing, as if they gave Laila de Lima what they're asking now, no?
And tens of thousands of alleged victims of EJK, yeah.
Yeah, but you have to give a little leeway to lawyers because they're defending a client and
Right.
they're supposed to exert every effort to defend their client within legal means, of course. No.
Right. And how good was the effort in terms of the
Well, ang problema is, I think the PNP knew that he was there in that compound. So, alam nila na andun talaga, and of course, the lawyers tried to throw off the PNP na wala na doon. Even Sara Duterte also said something to raise doubt that Kibuloy is still there, that he probably went out of the country already. But, nahuli na, no? So,
Pero
and-
Justice, yung ganun bang sinasabi ng mga lawyer, paano sinasabi ng iba na sila ay bordering on obstruction and harboring? Totoo ba yun? May ganun bang possibility?
well, definitely harboring, wala, kasi hindi naman,
Hindi mo nila hawak.
hindi
physically.
nila hawak, and the compound does not belong to Turion, no?
Mm-hmm.
Yung, ano sabi mo?
Obstruction.
Obstruction,
Mm.
I don't think it has reached that point, no? For
what should they do now to be counted as now? There's an evidence that they knew where he was and all, but they didn't share, or they wanted to prevent physically the police from apprehending him. Like, what
Pati
will
nga daw
basis-
online eh. Kasi kahit yung mga nagmi-mislead sa mga online posts, pwede bang mangyari yung gano'n?
or attacking the police,
Or
and all
attacking
that,
the police.
Yeah.
to distract them. Oh.
Iba yon, iba yung ina-attack.
well, pagdating kasi sa speech, we're very liberal, no? Because we're very protective of speech. Unless the speech invites immediate violence from the one hearing the
Incitement to
speech.
violence,
Yeah.
incitement.
So, ito hindi naman siguro. And the PNP, I think, knew that, these people are trying to mislead them. So, alam naman eh.
Squid. But by the way, General Torre. General Torre said, ito interesting he didn't develop that argument fully, I don't know, for whatever reason. Sabi niya, yung dahilan na nag-surrender si Kibuloy, of course, he said joke time yung sinasabi nila na heroic sacrifice, or yung sa military daw, sabi niya, hindi, definitely this was police operation week. Nag-surrender daw siya kasi dun sa building na yan, baka may mahuli. Parang may tinatago pa daw siya. I mean, I think the implication is there could be minors there or something like that, or some really incriminating evidence daw na parang nag-preemptive surrender na lang siya para hindi susugurin yung building. That's what he told me.
Or baka para hindi itigil yung paghuhukay doon sa mga tunnel sa bunker. Na baka may mga evidence or baka may wealth na
Tinatago.
unexplained.
Yeah, exactly. Yun
or-
nga eh. That was an interesting point
Pero
he said.
all of that is hypothetical.
So yung actual bunker ba hindi nahanap?
Parang hindi.
Hindi.
Kasi kung hindi nahanap, baka
Dahil-
gamitin uli.
Because he surfaced he went out of the
Yeah,
Tigil
building.
na. Tigil na yung
So
search.
there were, bakit daw nag-surrender? Yung theory na may tinatago siya. So inuna na lang niya bago namin malaman what's going on. Diba?
Hindi, pero hindi ba ang magiging problema dyan? Paano pag merong ibang nagtago, yun ulit ang gamitin? So paano hukayin na naman ganun? So hindi ba...
Kasi ang hawak nila is warrant of arrest. Wala silang search warrant eh.
Okay.
So humingi sila ng search warrant and they can search it.
So yun kasi magsa-stumble into sila. Oh hindi, warrant of arrest lang. Biglang
Warrant
may
of
malaman.
arrest, nahuli na yung,
Nahuli na
nahuli
eh.
na yung may
Oo.
warrant, yung may warrant eh. So tigil na.
Tigil na.
Exactly. So,
Oh.
Ngayon, kung may hinahanap ka mga barel at ginamit mo yung search warrant, yun, pwede magpatuloy yun.
ikaw Sir Ronald, may warrant ba sa'yo?
Wala pa eh.
Yung AK-47.
ang tanong ko din, ito parati ko tinatanong pag may episode tayo, anong mangyayari doon sa property? Anong mga posibleng what will happen?
Parati kang concerned sa...
Syempre, pera-pera.
Kasi wala ka na kay Harry eh. Wala naman.
Hindi, nakulat ako sa sinabi ni Secretary Remulla
Ano
na
to?
pwedeng kunin ng gobyerno
Yung-
yung properties ni Kibuloy. Pwede ba yun?
Pwede ba yun? Oo.
Well, depende kung kanino niya niligay yung ownership. Kasi pwede siya he could have created a corporation soul, no? Yung religious corporation soul, like yung bishop, that's really a corporation soul. All the properties of the bishopric are held by the bishop, but in trust for the people, for the faithful, the members. And if the bishop dies, the next bishop takes over.
Right.
Because the bishop does not really own it. It's owned by the faithful. Now, I don't know how Kibuloy structured
Yung
his
corporate structure,
whether he used a corporation soul or not, no? Siguro, the way I look at it, the way because of what other people say, mukhang he put it in ordinary corporations. So, mukhang hindi niya sinasabi na na this belongs to the faithful, it belongs to him.
And then Duterte being the administrator, how does that play this into
Well,
this?
administrator of the property to just keep it there in the meantime.
Maintenance.
Maintenance lang. So, I think
So he cannot sell it or...
yeah,
Pwede ipasa.
he cannot sell it. But I think the people who should be interested most on how those properties are structured are the members. Kasi
Shareholder, yeah.
the faithful contributed to
Yes.
acquire those properties, no?
Yes, yes.
And it should belong to the faithful. Katulad sa Catholic Church, the bishop, the cardinal, even the pope does not own it really, no?
Yes. Pero yung mga kulto kasi, yung cults kasi, usually, hierarchical yung structure niya.
Yes,
So,
yun ang
nakasentro.
yun ang tatanungin dapat ng members ng Kingdom of Jesus Christ. Sino bang may-ari nitong mga assets na ito? Yung 30-hectare compound, yung Coliseum nila, biggest in the world.
SMNI. Sino may-ari talaga ng SMNI?
KOJC.
Sino may alam na KOJC? Yun ang...
Yeah, but what KOJC could just be, is that a corporation? So,
Yes.
we don't know eh.
So kung mag-move in yung government to take over, anong pwede nilang ikaso? Kunyari, na galing sa ill-gotten wealth yung ginamit doon sa mga property na yon. So,
Anong lever ang gagamitin
anong-
nila? Legal lever to take over.
Well, because yung ill-gotten naman, hindi naman ito government eh, no? So, it's, ang dyan, it should belong to the members. I mean, that's the fairest.
Yes.
That's the most fair. It should belong to the members because they contributed.
So walang basis yung sinasabi ni Secretary Remulla na pwedeng kunin ng gobyerno.
Well, pwedeng kunin if it's the proceed of a crime. Like, for example, kasi may human trafficking, may money laundering, then that can be seized in favor of the government, forfeited, because that's the proceed
So
of
si
the crime.
AMLAC pwedeng gumalaw to, kung meron siya makita na...
Yeah. Pag nakita that there was money laundering, pwede yun. Pwede kunin ng state yun. Because that's a crime eh.
Right.
But if it's the contribution of the members because they are a part of the religious group, walang crime yun eh. No?
So paano yung justice? Let's say Ronald and Mark will convert. In an hour, they'll be part of the community of KGC.
I identify as a KOJC member.
Parang ganon. Like, I truly believe. Anong kwentahan dyan?
Oh.
Hindi pwedeng retroactive yun eh. Dapat dati pa kami miyembro.
Retroactive. Dapat bago sumugod si Torre, member ka na. Hindi na pwede yung pagkatapos.
Or
makikihati kami, hindi naman kami
Makikihati pa.
nag-contribute.
Wala kayo nung hinuhukay. Tapos
Still
ngayon,
in the
makikihati
country.
kayo.
So, bago siya mag-extradite, speaking of extradition, Ambassador Romualdez said it's almost inevitable. I think he went as far as saying that papunta na tayo dyan.
Pero medyo malabo yung sabi kasi ni Babes,
Yun nga eh.
sabi niya dati, kailangan tapusin daw muna yung mga
In
kaso
the
nito.
Philippines, yeah.
Pero at the same time, sinasabi niya inevitable. Anong ibig sabihin nun? No?
Inevitable in 20 years. What's your read of that in terms of U.S. aspect, U.S. pressure?
Well, we expect that the U.S. will request for extradition. The Philippine response can either be, okay, we'll allow extradition now. We'll allow the U.S. to take a first crack to prosecute him. And after that, we will prosecute him. Or it can be the reverse. We will prosecute him first. After that, we'll turn him over to you. So, either way, no?
So bottom line, Justice, it's nasa discretion ng state.
Yeah,
ng
it's
Estado.
it's the
walang fix na rules.
Wala.
Hindi ba dadaan sa court yan in terms of determination of applicability of the extradition treaty?
Well, the extradition law says you have to file the petition for extradition. The DOJ will file it, no?
Right.
With the RTC, and then
Exactly, RTC, yeah.
and then if it's adverse to the person, he can appeal to the CA, Court of Appeals, and then finally to the Supreme Court.
So he can fight yung kanyang extradition.
Yeah.
That could take a long
And that could take years, no?
Yeah, I know. That's what
Yeah.
Kailangan lang niyang paabuti ng
Sarah.
2028.
Yeah, it could take a
Earlier.
long time, but in the meantime, the trial here for the Philippine crime
Will go on.
Will go on.
So tatlo na yan, di ba? One is in QC, one is in Pasig, and then there's another one in Davao also, di ba? But the non-bailable one is
in
Pasig,
Pasig.
yeah.
Actually, kahit theoretically ay pwedeng i-drug, depende sa political will ng gobyerno yan eh. Pwede nilang pabilisin yan eh. Meron kang iba't ibang mga
Ronald, how
formal-
dare you
formal
question
and
the
informal.
independence of our court?
Pag nasa aeroplano ka na, parang ang hirap ng pigilan eh.
Sinasabi ko nga, may mga informal pressures,
Ayan.
no?
Yeah, isasakay na lang siya bigla C-130.
Walang sinasabi
Hindi,
sa
rendi-
Gising niya, nasa ano na.
Rendition yun.
But the way I see it, Kibuloy will question the extradition. The DOJ will file. It will take time kasi RTC, CA, Supreme Court pa yan. In the meantime, there will be trial because that will proceed.
Right. Are you optimistic about the direction of this whole Kibuloy saga? I mean, do you think this could be the beginning of something even bigger in terms of holding some of the religious groups accountable? Kasi just few months ago, we were in a territory of people invoking separation of church and state. Diba yun ang ginagawa ni Robin Hood? Our constitutional law expert in Senate, right?
may precedents pa dyan, Justice, sa ganyang klaseng more or less similar na issue.
Where the person being extradited can raise religious freedom.
Yeah. And at the same time, yung pace ng local courts vis-a-vis extradition. Wala kasi ako alam ng mga precedents.
I can't remember right now of a situation where he was charged in the US and here, and we made a choice kung sino mauna. I can't remember.
That's a crazy situation. We're finding how invincible or invulnerable supposedly Kibuloy was. I mean, how much of impunity was shattered with this move by the PNP and him facing justice right now? Because this is the Beshi of Duterte, right? They were like kind of the Siamese twins in power in Davao. They had a joint kingdom in many ways, you can say, right?
Well, it shows that finally the administration is getting their act together and getting their instructions implemented at the precinct level because but they had to replace the police in the precincts now in Davao.
Is that your phone, Justice? Whose phone is that? Tumatawag ba? Medyo nasabayan tayo ng
Okay.
may ingay din tayong kapitbahay dyan mamaya.
Oh.
Yes, please go ahead.
So the